It was totally malicious. I was
Yeah.
like, you're going to see that you're with a piece of trash, and this
Yeah.
closeted homosexual who lives at home with his parents is your man.
She said, what?
How could they do something like that?
Are you serious?
What a thirsty MFer.
Not good. She's absolutely dead to me.
That's because she died.
I'm Sterling Mulberry.
And I'm Blair Payton, and welcome to
Bad Behavior, a morally questionable podcast.
We're two unqualified friends,
Two unhinged comedians,
determined once and for all what is good
and what is bad.
Hello, and welcome to Bad Behavior. I'm Blair Payton.
And I'm Sterling Mulberry. Now, usually in each episode, we have a guest that comes on and shares a morally questionable story, but today, the guest is us.
Yes, we're in the hot seat, you guys.
We have a very special episode kind of starring the two of us where today we're actually going to be sharing two morally questionable stories for ourselves and judging each other. 'Tis the season. Is it? I guess maybe it's not.
I mean, Judgment, I feel like is a year-round holiday that everyone should celebrate. So, and I think it's also fair to level the playing field. We have so many guests come on who are very vulnerable and sharing these stories. And sometimes they're like, if you cannot share this on social, that'd be great. So we're like, if they're willing to put their heart out there, I think that is the least we could do. So I racked my brain.
You did what?
I racked it.
Oh.
You never heard that?
I thought, unfortunately, it said you whacked your brain. I was like,
well, you know what? I racked and I whacked because, I'm such a good person that I was just like, what have I done that could be morally questionable? And then I was delivered a memory.
Oh.
Actually, it was sparked from a therapy session. So actually, It's to my therapist. I had this aha moment where I was like, oh, something I can share on the podcast. Thank you so much.
There's nothing like being in therapy, though. And my session this week, we're like ending. Usually, like when we end and I'm kind of like, have a great week,
Mm-hmm.
This week, she was like, this is the type of session I wish we had more time. I wish we kind of had another one lined up for.
So wait, is she like kind of bored with most of your sessions, but this one was like, oh, this one had some meat to it. Now I want to hear what happens.
No, yeah, I don't know. I think I just had more to talk about, but yeah.
Well, can I ask you this though? Talking about therapy, do you think? Well, I know you're no longer in New York, but I don't know if this is true of LA. But some people say you're definitely starting to become a New Yorker when every other sentence is like, well, my therapist says, and I've been. No joke, catching myself like talking to people and be like, well, my therapist says, like I've been adding that into dialogue.
Interesting. I don't know. I think maybe it's kind of just like of the time.
Everyone's crazy?
I don't know. Or too many people are in therapy. I don't know. I don't think I do that. I guess shout out if you think I do. I don't think I do that. I'm always actually dying to have my therapist tell me something I could use. No offense. She's always saying this makes total sense. But it's like, what? My therapist says that makes total sense. It's like, I'm always dying for a nugget. I am always dying for a nugget. My first therapist, I would beg her to give me homework.
Well, okay. Literally this week, I did the same thing. I was like at the end of our session because I was feeling very vulnerable. And I was like, is there anything you can leave me with that I can like hold on to for the rest of the week just to get me through? She literally said, you're not crazy. And I was like, okay, that'll do it.
Wow. Okay. Okay, wait. I feel like we haven't talked in so long, but something actually, okay, so the other week, I don't know if I told you this. Basically, if you looked at my chin in the last few episodes, it was like swelled up. I don't know, something bit me, whatever. I obviously, because I've had bed bugs in my previous life, in my earlier life, I freak out immediately, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I freak out immediately. And I get coffee with my dear friend. And he's like, hey, it's like, when have I now had a couple days to spiral? My roommate's actually like out of town at this point. So I'm kind of like sitting in, just really spiraling, right?
Mental anguish.
Because I've always said this. I said in New York, I would move out of New York if I ever got bed bugs again. And then I was like, wait, what the hell am I going to do if I get bed bugs in Los Angeles? Where do I go?
Then you have to move.
I go back to New York.
You've committed to this rule. I don't think it's state specific.
Anyways, I meet up with my friend and he's like, hey, I haven't seen him in a while. But do you know when you're like literally like on the precipice of crazy? And I'm like, hey, and he's like, oh, how you doing? You look a little, I'm like, well, actually, I'm going to be heading to Target because I'm getting bed bug cover and I'm getting, like, I'm going, like, he's like, you don't have that. I'm like, I know. Like, how would I have ever had that? I haven't even gone anywhere. No one's even been in my home. He's like, you need to relax. I'm like, no, I go, Blair, I get double stick tape. I now have all of my still currently, the legs on my bed double stick tape around all of them in case anything was going to crawl up. But
can I ask
caught the culprit.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Red-handed. It was a spider. Isn't that so disturbing?
How big was the spider and where did you find it?
It wasn't that big, but it was like kind of big. I found them on my ceiling. It's really talk about pigeon season in New York. It's spider season in LA. You heard it here first.
I can't judge you on that because I would have done the same thing. Because when I first moved into this apartment and I saw my first roach. Now, I have since learned that big roaches are not a problem. They're just an eyesore. The smaller the roach, the more you got to be concerned. But the first time I saw one,
it's just so gross.
I freaked out. I called my building and I was like, I have roaches. And they were like, welcome to New York. And then I was like going to Home Depot, getting every single poison I could. And my friend was like, wow, you're really anxious about this, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, that's why I take pills.
This is so random. I'm out with my friends last night. I actually have a huge night last night. I kind of went to a happy hour on my friend's roof, then went to dinner with other friends, then went to a show 10 p.m. I'm kind of being a New Yorker, but in LA, aka staying up late.
Okay.
But my friends and I were talking about missed connections. Like, like posting on like either Craigslist or whatever to be like, do you know about missed connections?
Oh, yeah. I did it once.
Did you? Because, okay, my friends and I were talking this week. I'm walking my little dog earlier this week, looking cute with my friend. And this man, this guy walks by me and we make eye contact. I'm like this. And I also immediately know that I have seen him on dating apps and I have said no, which is devastating to kind of remember in the moment because he was so cute in person.
Ooh.
And I was like, dang. This was like literally just someone smiling at you. This, like, it could have been anyone. I don't know if the connection was strong for him, but have you ever posted on that?
Oh, yeah.
Has anything happened from it?
I only did it once. This was years ago. And it was like right on the precipice of me coming out of the closet. So it was back in my closeted days.
Oh,
I hadn't fully come out yet. It was for a man. Okay. Yeah. Because I was going to this really nice gym in Roanoke. And I remember there was this beautiful man. Okay. He was so hot. Okay.
In what way? This is you on every single ep of our podcast. If you had to describe him like a celebrity, what would he look like?
Okay. I would say, this isn't everyone's type. And also he's kind of a problem now, but I would say, keep in mind, this was what I thought then, but he looked like Justin Timberlake.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say something way more problematic than that. Okay.
Well, he's not exactly unproblematic, but like, he's not in his height.
Like someone who's like killed somebody. Okay.
He was very much Ted Bundy vibes. And I was like, I'm into it.
You're like, it's not everyone's type, but it is mine. I'd say Justin Timberlake was like 99% of people's types for a while, but okay.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, he's super cute. And it was one of those things where I remember I would be on the elliptical trying to make intense eye contact so we would lock eyes, and he never did.
What was he doing? Also elliptical? Or
he would be weightlifting, any number of things. And like, I was pretty sure he was straight, but there was that one part of me that was like, maybe not. So I went on Misconnections and I said, hey, I gave the name of the gym and I was like, there's this guy who's usually there around this time. I think you're really cute if you'd ever like to like meet up for drinks or whatever. So someone responds and in hindsight, I have to really applaud them because I put really cute and they were like, oh, this is definitely me. And then when they sent me the picture, I was like, incorrect.
Wait, they sent a picture?
He sent a picture. He's like, hey, am I the guy you're talking about? And he had like blonde highlights and he was wearing a puka shell necklace. And I was like, no, it is not. Cute. Well, guess what? It wasn't.
Okay.
Even for then, it was not cute. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. You're not the person. And then, like, we talked a little bit.
Did you send a picture? Did he know who you were from the gym?
I don't think I did because I was just like, I wasn't interested in pursuing this. I was like, no, I want that straight hot guy.
I know what is on your mind. You're saying, which I've gotten many texts about, Sterling. The new Taylor Swift album has dropped. And I'm dying to know your thoughts.
I have so many thoughts that I need to get off my membranes and tell to you.
Really?
Not really. I woke up Friday morning and I was like, oh, the album is out because all my friends were texting about it.
Yeah.
And so I listened to maybe a second of the first song and I was like, oh, I think I might like this one. But I skipped through all of them. And they're all just kind of like slow and not like, I was looking for a gay bop, like something like, yeah, I could walk to the street down this real bouncy.
Well, she is famously straight.
I know, but that doesn't matter. Like Madonna.
But sometimes she does throw a gay bop in there.
Yeah, like Kylie Minogue. Like even though the artist may not be gay, they're servicing their gay fans. But I was not getting serviced by Taylor Swift.
I have a confession to make. I have not listened to the whole album yet. It is 2 hours in length. I just was a little in a terrible mood this week. And I was like, this kind of music is not going to be for me. What's for me right now is gay bops. I'm like, I can really only be listening to bops. It's beats to spoken word, I almost want to say.
Can I interject here? This feels like a very hot take from someone who is probably a self-proclaimed Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah, but you have to remember that I'm like kind of an unusual Taylor Swift fan, aka I don't like go to her concerts and I don't like
well, they're like $1 million. I'm
not like obsessed with her, but I do know like every single song. But like this one, I'm really having a hard time with. But it's interesting when it comes to lyrics on this album, right? It's lyric forward, which usually I would like, but unfortunately I say this time too many.
Okay.
And so Blair, I have a game for us today. It's our classic game, Heaven or Hell. But it is this. If you were this Taylor Swift lyric in a scenario.
Okay.
From the new album, Torture Poets Department. Is it heaven or hell?
Okay.
Number 1. I'm down bad, crying at the gym. Is that a heaven scenario or a hell scenario?
So the way I'm understanding it is something bad has happened and she is crying at the gym. Is that correct?
Nor.
Oh.
You know when you're down bad for somebody, you're like...
horny?
No. I mean, I don't know, but not like that. I would say down bad is when like you have like a crush on somebody, but they kind of have like all the power in the relationship.
Oh, and she's crying at the gym. Okay. I have done that.
Have you cried at the gym?
Oh, hell yeah, I've cried at the gym, and it was to a Taylor Swift song.
To a Taylor Swift song?
To a Taylor, All Too Well.
10-minute version or regular?
10-minute. I was having a sad girl Saturday, and I was at the gym, and I was on the elliptical, and I was just like trying to find some music to listen to, and then I just put on All Too Well, and the lyrics were really hitting me hard. But I will say, I think that's heaven, because sometimes you just need to cry on an elliptical.
Yeah, I've never...
it's not good to hold it in.
I've never really been to the gym, so I've never really cried at the gym. But...
you do run.
I cry on my runs a lot. Not a lot, but I do cry on my runs. And I try to...
That's got to intensify your workout.
Yeah, I'm like, well, get me more endorphins. But
okay.
No, I haven't cried on a run recently, thank God. Okay, but yeah, I don't want to be crying at the gym, and I actually don't want to be down bad.
I will say I don't love that. That would be the hell part, but crying at the gym, I'm totally fine with expelling some emotion, so I'm not holding it in.
Yeah, okay, and that's good, and I love that. I love that for men. You should not be holding it in. Okay, number 2. We declared Charlie Puth should be a bigger artist.
Here's the thing. I went to a Charlie Puth concert because a friend of mine found...
Oh my God, I forgot you went to a Charlie Puth concert with your friend who's obsessed with Charlie. He was probably loving that lyric. He's probably saying this. He should be a bigger artist.
There's some songs where I'm like, oh, I kind of like it, but like, I think he's in his lane. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I don't think he should be a bigger artist. Such a weird artist to pick to say that he should be a bigger artist. I couldn't even tell you a Charlie Puth song, and I'm not interested. But yeah, that's a hell lyric, and it's a hell statement. If I ever said that, institutionalize me. Okay, number 3. Touch me while your bros play Grand Theft Auto.
This is not a relatable scenario for me.
Really? You've never been with your lover. He's also with his friends. They're playing Grand Theft Auto, and you're like kind of getting a little handsy.
My lover does not play Grand Theft Auto.
I'm not saying he does, but maybe his friends do.
I don't think that. I've met a lot of his friends. I don't think they're playing Grand Theft Auto. And if he is, he's not sitting there watching.
So that would be a hell scenario.
Yeah, that's not a relatable sentence.
Mm.
Okay, he sounds hot.
My guy's coming to pick me up. The friends need to not be there because one of my big things is this PDA. I hate it so much. I love my friends and I love when they're in love, but don't do anything in front of me. You can do little things, but don't do anything. If I'm there and you guys are kind of doing something in the category of foreplay, I'd love to leave. I'm not interested in being included. That sounds like, and she has 5 houses. They have somewhere they could go, you know?
Yeah, they got places to go.
Okay. These are all been hell so far. Okay. Number 4, Florida is one hell of a drug.
Okay. I've been to Florida. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that sentence.
Right. You're addicted to that state. One hell of a drug. Do you know what I thought when listening to the song? I said this. She's trying to get the swing state voters. Or I'm like, she's never been to Florida. I don't know. I'm so confused why she picked Florida as like the state that she's like, God, it's an amazing place.
What's even crazier too, now I haven't listened to the song, but just like looking at the track list, Florida with 3 exclamation points.
Yes, she was hyped. She'd had a good visit, or I'm like, she's got some money coming in. And they're saying we would literally do anything to swing Florida in the election. If you could maybe do a whole song about how much you love Florida.
Honestly, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. This is a political move.
Yeah, it's a political move. Okay.
And she's like, I got 31 other songs. You don't have to love this one.
Okay, number 5. I'm so depressed. I act like it's my birthday every day.
Maybe because she's getting older and she's seeing time is moving quicker, and that's making her feel very melancholy. You know?
That's interesting. I had a completely different interpretation of it.
Well, hit me.
I think it's like you're so depressed that you like kind of pretend like every day you should be celebrated. Like you have to kind of like maybe go out to a fancy restaurant. You're kind of like giving yourself a million little treats like it's your birthday.
Wow.
Because like when I was so depressed, I was definitely getting myself a little treat every single day. Well, yeah,
Wow.
I was getting myself one treat every single day to kind of stay alive. So yeah, I understand. I definitely didn't want it to be my birthday though, because like that would probably make me even more depressed. Because depressed.
If you're having a birthday every day of the year, and depending on what age you're starting to feel like it's your birthday every day, by the end of the year, you're going to be into your 400s.
Yeah.
So you're going to be real old and decrepit. Your back's going to hurt. You're not going to want to move. You're going to be praying for death. This sounds like a cry for help.
Yeah.
And I say... Sure.
I mean, hell to be depressed.
Yeah, I don't like it.
We hate that. Okay.
I'm taking pills to avoid that shit.
Okay, number 6. They shake their head saying, God help her, when I tell him he's my man. I guess how much do you need affirmation from friends and family on who you're dating?
As someone who has OCD, one of my compulsions is constant approval. Okay? So I need it bad. So that would be tough. Especially if they're just coming out of the blue and saying that. Because then they really fucking mean it. Yeah, I don't love it. It's hell. She's going through something. I'm worried about her and Travis, is basically what I'm saying.
No, this is not about her and Travis.
Oh.
So basically kind of some background to the album. Everyone was kind of like, so for Swiftie, if maybe you've never heard of Taylor Swift and you've actually stopped listening to the podcast at this point. But basically she had a long-term relationship, 6 years, with a man named Joe Alwyn. Okay. British actor. Then last summer she had a 6-week brief fling with Maddie Healy, the singer from the 1975, who everyone was kind of saying this, please don't, because he was kind of like, I love Nazis. He was kind of being not everyone's favorite, drinking on stage, kind of being a little weird. And everyone's like, maybe we don't have to, maybe that's not an amazing choice. And this whole album is her being like, shut the fuck up, you guys. If I want to ruin my life, let me ruin it. He's my guy. I've picked him. Shut the hell up. Every song is basically about Maddie Healy, a 6-week long relationship. Not many is about the 6-year long relationship. And then there's a couple about Travis Kelce that are basically all about him playing football and a lot of rhymes that have to do with football.
This sounds like a very interesting album, to say the least.
It's so funny because the Travis songs are kind of like, okay, all the songs about the other guy are like, I'm so fucking in love with you, like I will die if you don't love me back. And the Travis songs are like, this is fun. Like the difference in level of affection, I'm like, I would have a hard time with that.
Well, now Travis is never going to touch her in front of his friends.
I know. Well, Blair, we've come to the portion of the podcast where we're going to be in the hot seat this week.
Ooh, I can feel my butt tingling from the heat.
Oh my God. So we are both going to be sharing morally questionable stories and deeming each other good or bad, and then punishing or rewarding each other. So Blair, do you want to kick it off today?
This was actually a story that I kind of alluded to in one of our past shows.
For listeners, if you're a real one, you'll know it.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am a homosexual, but I did not come out till I turned 30.
On your birthday, or just on that age?
I'm a person who thrives on deadlines, and my goal was to tell my parents by the time I turned 30. I told them 4 days before. So a couple months leading up to this, there was this guy that used to go to my gym, and I just had a huge crush on him.
But this isn't misconnection.
This isn't misconnection, no. Somehow I found my way into his circle of friends. I don't remember quite how,
Okay.
But it was pretty organic. It wasn't like in a weird, forced way. I think we had some mutual friends, and then we'd occasionally talk to one another or whatever. So I found out he was dating someone.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna prove to him that I'm the one he should be with, as opposed to this guy, right?
Good.
So
okay.
I was gonna work my way in and see that I'm clearly the choice, right? Keep in mind, still in the closet, still lived at home. Okay, so
but you were like, I'm the total package.
I was living my total J-Lo delusional fantasy at this point. I got on Grindr. Now, for those of you not familiar with Grindr.
What year are we in? Everyone knows what Grindr is.
I know, but let's say your parents are listening and they need a refresher.
I think even my parents know, but okay.
Well,
okay.
For the uninformed, just for the uninformed, Grindr is basically a hookup app. It shows you who's close by in proximity, and you can message them and say, hey, we should get together and do things, so that's what it is. For gay men. So this guy that I liked, I saw his boyfriend on there.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, he doesn't seem like an upstanding young gentleman to be doing this to the man I love. So I texted this guy and I was just like, hey, can you meet for dinner? I got something that I need to talk to you about. Yeah. And so we met for dinner, and the place we went to eat just happened to be across the street from where his boyfriend lived. God, in my mind,
oh my God, Blair, I'm so scared.
In my mind, I was just like, you're doing the right thing. This is going to be your husband. So you need to help him realize that. So I was like, hey, I just want to, this is really hard for me to tell you this.
This is before appetizers have come, or?
Yeah, we just got beer. I was like, I can't sit on this any longer. It's been 2 days. I was just like, hey, I really feel like you should know that your boyfriend, I was on Grindr the other day and he was on there, and I just feel like you should know. And you could see like his face kind of like the color drain, and he was just like, that's interesting. And then it got really quiet, and I was just like, so do you want to get food? Or like, I was like, at this point I was just like, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Yeah, I was like,
you hadn't thought through after you said it.
No, I was like, ooh, boy, this might have been a bad idea. And then he was like, listen, I gotta go. Here's my part for my beer. And then he left. And so I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, I'm trying to process what happened.
Okay. And you're seeing him cross the street.
I see him go across the street into the apartment because he was like, yeah, he lives across the street. I'm going to go talk to him. And I was like, oh, okay. A couple days later, I was like, how are things? Yeah. Things good? He was like, no, things are okay. Like, he wouldn't tell me anything. So that is the scenario. Now, to kind of connect it to the story I told at the show, I was still convinced we were going to get together.
Okay.
So maybe a month later, he was talking about how he was looking for a roommate because he wants to save money so he can eventually move in with his boyfriend. They're going to buy a house together. And I was like, I'll move in. And so then I move in thinking, okay, if I'm under, this is full blown crazy. I'm thinking if I live under the same roof with this guy, that he's going to be like, wow, you know what? I need to rethink.
So you moved out of your parents' house.
And I moved in with him. Yes. I lived with him for 5 months. And then they finally got their house together. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm going back home.
Wait, you moved back home?
Mm-hmm.
Blair.
That's my story. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I've known pieces of this story, but like hearing it all together, I kind of am remembering now, like the guy that you moved in with that you had a crush on.
I'm one of the dumbest people.
No.
You may ever know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have so many questions. Okay, what kind of apartment living space did you guys move into together?
It was already his apartment.
Okay.
It was 2-bedroom. It was a townhouse. It was very nice.
Okay, how much were you paying in rent? Do you remember?
Ooh, I think I was paying like $700 or $800.
Wow. Okay. Were your parents at the time like, why are you doing this?
Well, keep in mind, at the time, I was 29, so I was due to move out.
Yeah. So they were excited.
They were, but I'm so close to my parents. And my mom was also sick at the time, so they were kind of sad, but they understood. But my sister later told me that, and keep in mind, this was all close to the time when I came out.
Yeah.
So it was right around the holidays when I moved in, and my birthday's in January. So it was all kind of coming together. But my dad, before I moved, asked my sister, was like, so Blair's new roommate's gay, huh? Do you think Blair might be gay? Because I had a gay roommate, he was like, do you think Blair might be gay?
What did your sister say?
She was like, no, I think he's probably like asexual or something. So anyways.
So then when they did move in together, so you basically were giving him rent every month to help him move in with his boyfriend.
And to fall in love with me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, so this is maybe the saddest story I've ever heard in my life.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
And the beautiful thing is you are in love and literally life is fine. But okay, so is your what is your bad behavior in this scenario? I guess so the bad behavior we're mostly questioning is the restaurant when you went to go
is me telling him. Yeah, I was tattling. It was none of my business. The rest of this stuff is just to tell you.
And you were also like not doing it in like a good friend way. You're like, I'm trying to break him up so he'll date me.
It was totally malicious. I was like, you're gonna see that you're with a piece of trash, and this closeted homosexual who lives at home with his parents is your man.
Okay.
It's not the story you expected, was it?
No, it's also like, I'm like, it's so funny because I was like, wow, I'm going to tell this crazy story where I seem crazy. And not to say you seem crazy because we're not using that word.
I'm going to own this one. It's crazy.
Okay, here's the thing. This was a guy that was going to your gym. Let's state the facts. Let's get the facts. A guy's going to your gym. You see his boyfriend on Grindr. Look, you could have saved him, right? You could have been like, hey, I think your significant other's cheating on you, which maybe is none of your business, but it could always be a health hazard, right? So you could have been saving him something, an STD test, maybe.
Right.
So I don't know if it's like overall malicious. I think it would be much more malicious if you had lied, right? You're like, oh, I'll just pretend I saw him, right? You were stating only true things. And the thing is, you stated them. You didn't have a game plan after.
I had no game plan.
I am like, I just feel for your little soul that's like, this is going to do it. And you have this piece of information, which was just true information, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's like, so I don't know if I could deem you back because it's the saddest story I've ever heard. Like, because it's like you had this crush, and like I feel like especially when you have a crush and you haven't maybe experienced like I had no experience. You had no experience. Yeah. It's like the crush feels so huge, and it's so hard to like figure out how to navigate and like how to convince feelings. And obviously you're like dealing with like your sexuality, and I don't know. It's like you didn't like do anything totally you know what I'm saying?
Can I tell you this? This is just going to be a caveat to how sad this situation was.
Oh,
Because
God.
to echo what you said about like how crushes can be so all-consuming.
Yeah.
At this time period, I also, because I went to a Planet Fitness and they had tanning beds, and I thought I would look better with a tan. So I remember I remember being in the tanning bed, and I was listening to Kelly Clarkson Catch My Breath.
Okay.
And one of the lines is like, catching my breath, letting you go. Like that line. And I was just like, you're right, Kelly. I have to let him go. So I wrote this long text message where I was like, I can't be your friend anymore because it's hurting me. You know, I don't remember specifics, but it was basically like, hey, I think it's, yeah.
Oh my God.
And he was like, I think he responded like, okay, question mark. Like I had this full relationship in our head that never existed.
Was that when you were living together or after?
It had to have been after. It had to have been after.
Oh my God. You were in a tanning bed listening to Kelly Clarkson singing let him go or whatever. And then you texted him, I have to let you go. And then you said, okay, question mark.
I even ran it by a friend of mine beforehand. I was like, how does this sound?
And I want to be like this. Where were your friends during this time? I wish I had been there to have been like, baby boy.
I'm unhinged.
No, but it's beautiful. Here's the thing. You and me, I think, are big romantics at heart, and we love big, and that's beautiful. And sometimes we just fall for the wrong crush, you know? We choose the wrong person to crush on, I guess. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say good behavior. Behavior.
Thank you.
Because you could have been saving him from an STD he didn't know he was getting because his partner was maybe cheating on him. And then you kind of left it at that, right? You clearly did not win in this scenario. You tried your best. And here's the thing. It could have, like, say he did fall back in love with you. It would have been like the craziest story ever. But like everyone been like, that's so romantic. Like Blair like really knew from day one and like tried, you know? But because it didn't work out, it's like so sad. But like it could have been beautiful. I don't know. I'm just like, you really were so humbled in so many ways throughout this entire journey with him.
Literally,
and I'm like, I can't be bad. Other than like you, like it's kind of like so sad to yourself. But like you learned many things. You were able to move out of your parents' home. Amazing. You eventually did have a relationship with many other people who were better suited for you. And
I wouldn't say all of them.
I'm sure that guy is maybe still in Roanoke, Virginia, and you're in New York City. So came out on top. Well, Blair, because of this story, I'm going to say you exhibited good behavior.
Yeah. If not sad.
Sad. Maybe we should have a new category. The saddest story that's ever been told.
Yeah.
This really was maybe the saddest story that I've ever heard of in my life. But
thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So I have a reward for you today. Because I know, as we always say, it's kind of hard to come up with acceptance speeches on the fly. So I've written this acceptance speech for Blair.
Wow. Thank you so much. I really want to share this award today with our fans. And to celebrate, I'll be reading some recent comments from our podcast YouTube channel.
Aww.
These two interviewers suck. Shame, shame, shame. If this is the future of comedy, it is not a bright one. So fun. I love our fans. Oh, God, did you really pull those?
Yeah, those are real. I had to sift through. Those were the nicest ones I could find. Our YouTube channel shout out has been getting absolutely demolished online by some of the meanest people I've ever heard of in my life.
Oh boy.
Which makes sense because if you are watching a podcast on YouTube, seek help. But also if you want to watch our podcast on YouTube, please go. Run, don't walk. We're there. If you want to do that. But we've found ourselves on a scary part of the internet, and
I am not reading these comments. Yeah.
But we're getting really dragged on one of our videos in particular.
I commend you for doing that because I had to turn off the notifications.
I actually read them every day. I read those comments every day. I'm reading them because I'm like, I want to stay attuned in case you guys have taken a turn for the worse. And so I'm just monitoring. But I would love us to shut them out I think we should shut the comments off, but I'm so scared. I don't know because we have we've shut them down, but then they come for our other videos and
then they come for our other videos.
Turn your comments back on because we hate you and we want to let you know. Anyways,
yeah, but we want to let you know we hate you on this video.
We love our fans.
So Sterling, now's the point in our episode today where you get to share a morally ambiguous story from your past that you're conflicted on. And I'm going to pick through it and ultimately come with a judgment. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, so my story today, part of the story I'm going to be providing some background on kind of where I was at in my life. Okay. So the story takes place summer of 2019. Okay. I am 24 years old. And I had been dating in New York and it wasn't going amazing. Okay. Mm-hmm. I was going on like a lot of bad dates. Literally, sometimes dates would be in the same location. I just kind of was like feeling like my bar was constantly being lowered. Okay.
Okay.
So I started dating a guy that I do really like. I knew from the get-go, I'm like, this isn't my guy, but this is interesting. This is interesting.
Okay.
And sometimes when you're at that age, you kind of forget. Like, you're like, oh, I'm going to go on a date because it's kind of fun. He's like a little kooky. But then you like start developing feelings for them. And you're like, oh no, he is a horrible person, which I kind of knew from the get-go, but like, I like him now. Okay.
Okay.
And anyways, so we're dating for a few months. It was like a very hot and cold. Now, I don't even know if it was ever that hot. It was kind of like, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, he's like really into me. He's taking me to fancy dinners. Oh, I'm meeting his best friends. And then sometimes I'm like, he couldn't care less if I lived or died. Like not responding to me. Blair was around. Do you remember this era? We actually were together. This was actually the era Blair was like, it was like this hard thing where like Blair was like falling in love with somebody else. Not to shout you out. And our other friend was also
and they were actually not doing the same with me.
No, it was so hard because basically a couple of my friends who were around me, Blair and another friend of ours, were both falling in love. And there's nothing like you dating somebody who couldn't care less if you lived or died and like seeing your friends being treated really well next to you. It is the worst feeling in the world because you're like just trying to get like a scrap from them and your friends are like, oh, they're actually like taking me on a little trip. We're actually meeting the whole family. And I'm like, that's amazing. He actually won't let me text him on Sundays because he gets too flustered. So he would be like, you can't even text me on that day. Not even like I won't respond. He was like, it's illegal for you to even try to contact me, which is amazing. Anyways, so that was kind of like the difference. Anyways, you'll never believe this breakup. We break up. But it's kind of a classic breakup in which the guy is like so bad that they bamboozle you, right? So he's like, just want to let you know that like I'm never going to put any effort into this. And I don't want you to ever.
Wait, he said that?
Yeah, he said in a text, I will never prioritize you. I'm just looking to have fun and hang out with my friends. But I'm happy to keep seeing you. It's up to you. Ball's in your court. And you're kind of like, how much self-worth do I have? And it's hard when you're 24 because you don't have much. Okay. Because again, my dates were like what I had described earlier. Okay. This is the type of guy who once texted me on a Thursday. Do you want to go to Atlantic City this weekend? Which, okay, if you know me, you would know that's about the last place on earth I'd want to go. But because I was dying for a romantic getaway, I was like, maybe. And then 1 hour later, he said, actually, I already messaged my friend. He's in. So spots taken. Iconic. Anyways, okay. I break up with him technically because I said, actually, I'm looking for a relationship. And you have been dating me at this point upwards of 3 months, which some people would be in a relationship at this point. And he's like, all good. He's relieved, probably some might say. Now, sometimes when you get out of a relationship that even is abysmal, you start to romanticize it. Okay. I'm wrecked. I'm listening to Phoebe Bridgers every day, even though it's like looking back, I'm like, literally, why? I was like, this guy, ugh. Anyways, I'm wrecked, but I'm like baby wrecked because I ultimately didn't really care about this man. And I didn't even know what heartbreak was yet. So I'm like, this is terrible. I'm listening to all these sad songs. I'm going to work so sad. And he had said, like, towards the end of our relationship, he was like, my worst fear is like bumping into people on the streets of New York. Like he's like, it stresses me out. And like I hate like, and we were out once together. We like bumped into somebody he like knew from work, and I could like just tell he was like, oh God, like I don't even want to introduce this girl. I don't know. I knew
Yeah.
that this was his nightmare. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And I decided,
Oh boy.
that's your nightmare? Dreams come true, baby. So basically every single week I would get in a little outfit, cute. And I would tell my friends I lived on the Upper West Side at this point. He lived in, well, I'm sure he listens. He lived in the West Village, which is a bit away, but not too far. It's about, I don't know, 25 minutes on the subway. Each week, I would like meet up with friends for various things. And I'd be like, oh, why don't we get dinner in the West Village? Like each thing would be like, oh, you know, I've actually been dying to try this bar in the West Village. And so I would have my friends bamboozle them.
Uh-huh.
Be like, oh, let's meet in the West Village. And so I would meet them, whatever, we'd have drinks. And I'd be like, oh my God, wait, we should walk this particular route back to the subway or whatever, because he lived near the subway.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have my friends, not even knowing, walk with me by his apartment really slowly. And then I'd be like, this is so random. Actually, this is the apartment of this guy I used to date. And they'd be like, it is random. Why are we on the street? I would slowly walk by his apartment in my cute little outfit.
Uh-huh.
And I did this at least 3 or 4 times in the span of a month.
Ooh, that's basically weekly.
It was about weekly. Now, I never ran into him. Okay. Unfortunately. Or very fortunately, I guess. I did text him a month later and really kind of begged to get back together with him because I was like, I miss this. I was like, I miss you treating me so well. But we really only saw each other one more time kind of after that and then never spoke again. But I guess the bad behavior is kind of walking past someone's apartment once a week in hopes that you run into them. And I want to say this for my defense. New York is a big place. His apartment was a big apartment complex. I think if someone was doing that on my teeny little street where I live, like that would be way freakier because I basically live in a house. Do you know what I'm saying? And I want to just say he lived in a big apartment building. I wasn't lingering for that long. I could have been walking down that street. It wasn't so crazy.
Yeah.
And he was a little evil to me. He was evil to me.
I can relate to this story very much.
It is so shameful to look back at your past and be like, have a shred of dignity, you know?
When you would talk to your friends about this, what would they say?
Well, I guess what element? Like the relationship or the walking past the apartment?
Well, not so much, but like how he treated you.
I really only remember the consensus towards the end. I remember I famously was actually on a run. He texted me this long paragraph one day, be like, we're looking for different things, which was the truth. Okay. He was aware. And I put on my running hat and I decided to go for a 7-mile run in Central Park. And I was like on 2 calls with my 2 friends trying to like think of what I could respond, all this stuff. So they were not like a fan. He was being, I guess, so communicative and transparent that he couldn't care less if I lived or died, that you could be like, well, he was really good at communication. And that's huge. But they're like, but they're communicating that they hate your guts, basically.
I've done similar in the past. When I was breaking up with a certain somebody, they dumped me at work. For like the next month, we worked on 2 different floors. I would sometimes find reasons to be on the floor to run into this person and talk to them. Yeah. Did I have a game plan? No, I never have a fucking game plan.
No game plan.
Like if that were to have happened, what would you have done?
I think I really wanted to like take back some power in the relationship. So I wanted to seem like I was doing absolutely fine.
I will say that you wanting to take back the power in this relationship is very understandable. Mm-hmm. But in reality, he had all the power.
Well, of course.
And then at the end, you were like, you know what? I miss him. You deserved better.
So true. I figured that
out. But you were willing to settle for this guy who got diarrhea every time he would run into people.
Okay, well, I don't think that's true. I don't know.
I feel like if he was so uncomfortable, there was squirting happening.
Ew, Blair.
This was a perfect opportunity as a New Yorker to girl boss and say, listen, dude, I deserve better. Yeah. I'm a strong,
I
independent
actually did
woman.
say that over text. I did say that. I just didn't enact my words.
So it was a hollow It was a hollow statement. And because of that, I'm going to have to lean towards bad behavior.
Oh my God. It is freaky. I would fucking hate if someone did that to me. That's really, don't do that. Don't be walking past people's apartments.
Yeah.
Unless
you're stalking.
Unless you're a crush of mine and want to throw rocks in my window. That's cute.
Well, I think this punishment is more for that 24-year-old Sterling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This is not present day Sterling.
No.
Because sometimes you need to speak to your inner child. And this is what this is. This is you speaking to that.
I didn't have my frontal lobe wasn't quite there yet.
So whenever you're ready.
My punishment. Okay. I can no longer deny the truth. I'm a bad girl. They say the truth shall set you free. Today, I'd also like to apologize to Kim Kardashian and Taylor Swift. Kim, I'm so sorry for recording the phone call between Kanye and Taylor, editing the call to make Taylor look like a liar, and for convincing the media that this was your doing. Wow. And Taylor, I know your new song, Thank You, Amy, is about me and not Kim K. To quote your song, it wasn't a fair fight or a clean kill. I promise to never stomp across your grave again. Wow. Yeah, it's so true. That was me. I recorded that. I edited it. Big Kanye fan. That's what all my friends will remember about me in that time. Okay, well, this was so fun. Your story absolutely shocked me. My story absolutely paled in comparison. I was like, I'm going to seem crazy. And now I want to say this. No. I seem... That is light, what I just told.
Yeah, I'm definitely nuts.
But I truly enjoyed this episode so much. It made me laugh. An amazing way to have our Saturday. Now, we will be having, obviously, some more guests come on the podcast soon. So stay tuned. And just want to, obviously, as we talked about earlier, shout out our dear fans. Just want to thank everyone again so much for listening to the podcast, leaving us reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't already, we would totally love a review on Apple Podcasts. And as we always say, kind of the only way I hear about podcasts is through my friends. If you have any pals that you think might love this podcast or need a little bit of a laugh, or maybe are in a situationship that they are being absolutely crazy, aka moving in with them, or walking past their apartments every day, send them this episode.
So guys, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow us on all our social media at Bad Behavior NYC, and we will talk to you next week.
And that's our show. Thanks so much for listening today.
We absolutely hate to do this. We hate it.
But it would mean the world to us if you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts, rate and review.
Follow us at Bad Behavior NYC on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks again for listening.
And remember, whatever your moral status, we are always here to judge.
Bye.
Do you think that was good?